Today, we're going to be counting down our top 10 UFC fights of 2024. These aren't KOs. These aren't fighters. These are the fights in total.
Yeah. So for my list, a little bit of criteria. It was kind of talking about like entertainment factor of that fight. Like how much did I enjoy watching this fight? And then my second thing was that I had to have watched it live because I think you just get a different experience from a fight when you already know the outcome. You know, you don't have that same excitement. You don't have those ups and those downs. So for me, I missed 306. That was the only pay-per-view I missed this year. So there's no 306 fights, which sucks because there were some absolute bangers. And then obviously if there was some early prelim on some fight nights 8 months ago on a random Saturday night,
you probably missed that.
I probably didn't watch that fight. So
that's valid. Yeah, I'd say most of mine are also pay-per-view picks, but I also went through like every single fight night and card from 2024. Every single fight I looked through, and these are my favorite ones. So it was pretty obvious, honestly. Like,
yeah, I thought it was going to be really tough to make.
Yeah.
But then like once I had the fights, I was like, oh yeah.
And also, if you guys want to have your opinions heard on an award show, we're going to be doing an award show on December 31st, the last day of this year. And we have a form in every single one of our video descriptions right now in December. So you can go down to that form, vote on 10 questions, and then we're going to be opening cards. Me and Dylan don't know the results of any of the...
Producer Matt will walk them over. And we'll be like,
exactly.
And the fighter of the year is...
Hopefully we won't say it like that, but it's going to be something similar. So let's start off with our number 10 pick. Dylan, who do you have?
My number 10 pick, Jared Cannonier versus Kyle Barajo, UFC Fight Night Apex.
And they said he wasn't a hardcore fan.
That fight was really good. Like the exchanges, like they were just throwing big strikes. It was close. My number 10 was between that and another fight. It was between Adesanya versus Duplessis.
Oh, come on, dude. Don't ruin my pick. That's why we can't be friends.
Oh, you have that?
It's my number 10.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, just for me, the reason is I feel like that fight it felt like it never got going.
Yeah.
But I'll let you talk about it.
Okay. I like fights that go longer than 1 or 2 rounds. I wasn't going to, for most of these, I wasn't going to put like a fight that ended in a round 1 KO.
I don't think I have a single...
No, I don't think I have a single round 1 KO.
I think my earliest finish was a round 5 finish.
What? Really? That's crazy. I have a round 3 finish in here. But anyways, this fight was super back and forth the entire time. That's what, in my opinion, makes a good fight. I don't want some blowout match. Those are fun to see sometimes, like when it's unexpected. But I think going into this, you knew that it was going to be a close fight. Drick is in the prime of his career. Is he trying to get back to that throne, trying to reclaim it? The storyline was incredible for this. There was a lot of hype behind it. The press conference was amazing. The back and forth talking and then the back and forth in the fight, perfect. Izzy had his best round in a fight ever in terms of significant strikes landed. Third round, he landed 40.
That seems like that should be high. I mean, he is a big boy, so you're not putting up the
he's
volume.
more of a counter striker.
That is
you know?
true.
He just looks for that
Big
one shot. And then it ended in a finish, which is always going to help a fight's ranking, in my opinion. And it was a 4th round finish. So you got to see a beautiful fight. Oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. A beautiful fight and then a 4th round submission by DDP.
Yeah, I respect that. It was my number 11. All right, my number 9, Gilbert Burns versus Jack Della Maddalena, UFC 299. Talk about a comeback, you know, just back and forth. Just, it really, I don't know. It was just back and forth, really like high and low, entertaining fight.
Yeah, and you got a little bit of everything in that fight.
Yeah.
You had striking, you had grappling, Gilbert Burns looking like he's going to win a decision, then boom, that big knee.
Yeah.
So good.
Iconic KO,
Yeah, it was great. I respect that. My number 9 pick has to be Gamrot versus Hooker.
Ooh.
I'm surprised you had Gilbert Burns versus JDM. That's surprising to me. I think this one is on my list mainly for the upset. Like, obviously, it was a great fight the entire way through, but the upset is really what made it. If Gamrot would have won that, I don't think I'm putting it on here, honestly. It's the fact that Dan Hooker won that. And honestly, it was a fight of who wanted it more. You know, Gamrot typically does really well in those wrestling exchanges, like with Armin. He won that fight because he wanted it more. But Dan Hooker, out of nowhere, just became the takedown defense god. Well, I guess Gamrot didn't really take him down as much as he usually does.
Almost like a struck.
Struck. He mostly struck him. Yeah, that's fair. Gamrot was scared of getting banished to the prelims by Dana.
Yeah. All right, my number 8. I can guarantee you that you don't have this on your list.
Because you're a hardcore and I'm a casual.
I don't know how it made it on my list, but when I was going through the pay-per-views, I was just like, I feel like this fight was really good. Did I watch it back? No, obviously not. Arnold Allen versus Giga Chikadze at UFC 304.
I mean, it was good. Yeah, it was good.
Like, I think that was a banger in terms of like the striking and the boxing, like two just great strikers, like the kickboxing of Giga Chikadze, and I think like the pure volume striking of Arnold Allen. I remember being like, oh, that was good.
It was a great fight for sure.
Yeah.
Good way to open up the card.
So that's why it's just on there. Like, I don't know. I was just like, boom. And I remembered it too. It was a standout fight, you know? Like, I couldn't tell you everything that happened in Gilbert Burns versus JDM, but I can tell you the key points. This one, I was like, I remember that fight.
That's interesting. I don't know if a lot of people would have that in their top 10.
I don't know.
Kind of went under the radar.
Yeah.
You know? For my number 8 pick, I have Jan versus Figgy.
Ooh.
Peter Yan. Do you have that one on your list?
I have a different Peter Yan fight.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it's one of the most high-level fights we've seen this year. Again, back and forth for the entire time. Yes. Figgy knocked him down in the 4th round.
One time. Like, I don't know if it was back and forth the whole fight. Like, you don't have a 50-45 that's back and forth the whole time.
Was it 50-45?
Yeah.
49-46?
No, it was a 50-45.
Well, every round was close. It could have, every round could have been, went the other way. What do you say? Dude, you just had Arnold Allen versus Giga Chikadze on there. Shut your
Here
mouth.
we go. It's getting spicy.
What else do I have written down? Jan has been on the wrong end of a lot of scorecards. So to finally get a valid scorecard for him felt good. Like, the fight went everywhere. It was striking, it was grappling. Both guys are former champions, so it's the highest level you could ask for, and it was one of the most hype fights, and it kind of lived up to it. So
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, my number 7, Peter Yan versus Song Yadong, UFC 299.
So you have that over Jan versus Figgy.
Yeah, that was a 50-45.
Oh my gosh. You're going to get cooked in the comments.
That's fine. This is our favorite fights, not the top 10 best fights. This is the top 10 favorite fights. These are my 10 favorite fights. You can't come out at me and hate on me for my top 10 favorite fights.
Oh, no, they definitely can.
No, you can't, because
They definitely
it's
can.
opinionated. It's not like I'm saying these were the top 10 best fights of the year. No. But it was a banger. Both guys just go out there and throw hands. Like, the striking exchanges were amazing. It was just part of the reason why the 299 like main card was so good. Like, I don't know, there's not really much else to say. It was just a striking masterclass from both guys, and yeah, two of my favorite fighters that I really enjoy watching. So yeah, it's simple as that.
It pissed me off when I was making the tier list for pay-per-views. When I was trying to find pictures of the pay-per-view card, there was no accurate pictures because the bouts always change. I was listening to us talk about them and like talking about the order, and then I'd find pictures and I'm like, this is not the same order we're talking about. So yeah, that's my gripe about UFC. Let's move on to number 7. My number 7 pick is Oliveira versus Chandler 2. Absolute banger. Oliveira is always going to have a fun fight. And in the past, we've seen him finish fights in round 2, in round 3. So it's nice to see him fight for the entire 5 rounds, even if it is kind of scary and you know, your heart's going crazy. But it's always good to see guys fight for longer, the full 25 minutes. And this fight almost got finished 3 or 4 times. And in the 5th round, almost by Michael Chandler, which would have been my worst nightmare. All the Michael Chandler fans, see you at the top. Islam Makhachev match up next. That would have been awful.
Yeah.
And then every time you think Charles has his back, you think that he's going to get the choke. And Michael Chandler actually showed really good defense. He was really calm. I was impressed by both guys.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. My number 6 pick, Rebecca versus Oralbai from UFC 308.
That's fair.
The only reason it's not higher is I did miss the beginning of the fight because I was
cooking.
I was cooking us breakfast, and then once they started screaming and stuff, I was like, all right, I have to watch this. Like, we'll let the house burn down. I gotta watch Oralbai versus Rebecca. This is gonna be a banger.
That's why that bacon was shit.
It was not.
I'm kidding.
And then that fight was so good. Like it was just like grit from both guys, like just pure grit. If that was that female doctor from UFC Tampa, Oralbai would be cooked. He wouldn't be fighting in that fight. But then 3rd round, from his it was like storybook with standing up with Rebecca on his back.
Yeah.
Oh, it was just an absolute banger. Super high class from 2 of the potentially best unranked fighters inside of the whole UFC. Like, both guys are unreal. It was a type of fight where win or lose, it didn't matter. Like both guys' stocks raised after that night.
That's valid. We'll talk about that one again later. For my number 6 pick, I have Pereira versus Roundtree Jr. I was debating whether to put this one way higher or way lower. Like, I feel like this one could have gone anywhere. The reason why I put it where it is because, again, 4 rounds of action. Like, you cannot be upset with that. Title fight adds more value to it, in my opinion, because it's just bigger names, right? It's always going to be more exciting. And then the finish, the body shots where you could just hear the thud. Oh, man, it's crazy. It's crazy how powerful Pereira is. And then Khalil Roundtree, I mean, as much as it sucks to see people get injured and, like, you know, need stitches, you do love to see a good cut in the UFC. Yeah. You love to see a bloody face.
Ugly.
Yeah, you love to see Colby Covington bleed all over the mat against Joaquin Buckley. And it's same thing here. It was back and forth. Roundtree won the first 2 rounds. Like, he had a real chance of winning that fight, which is crazy to say. If Pereira would have gotten, you know, caught with anything else big and he wasn't able to turn on the gas, we're looking at an alternate reality.
Khalil Roundtree Jr. as the champion.
It would be sad.
All right, my number 5, a fight you already mentioned. May not have been the most competitive, the closest, but just a fight I had so much fun watching. Oliveira versus Chandler, UFC 309. Like, I think a lot of it is like, how does a fight make me feel? Like, it was so nice watching Oliveira destroy for 3.5 rounds, and then your stomach sinks when Chandler all of a sudden has that choke in. And then when Chandler's coming back in the 5th round, I was genuinely so scared. I was not sure what was going on. I was like, Charles, don't do this to me again. Do not do this to me again.
It was like the Shavkat versus Ian Gary in the 5th round. You're like, this is not happening.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just so much fun. Like, 2 guys that go there to have good fights. Obviously, most performance bonuses of all time for Charles Oliveira. That's what he does out there, is have fun fights. And then Michael Chandler I feel like he was just, he was different Michael Chandler. Like, he wasn't like so serious. He was just like, at the end of it, he was like fun. He knew he lost, but he was going to do whatever it took, you know?
That's true.
He did those stand up, the boom, the big backdrop.
Yeah,
like,
I forgot about that. That was good.
It was just a fun fight.
Yeah, it does seem like he was taking himself a little bit more chill.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't going in there to die in the first round,
yeah,
which is what it normally feels like. Let's move on to number 5. I have Gaethje versus Holloway. This fight, honestly, gets a bit carried by the finish. I mean, it is the best finish of all time, but in terms of an entire 5-round fight, it's good. It's really good. It's not top 3 for me. And I think that's controversial, but we already ranked it in our KO list and it was number 1. So we gave it the credit it deserves. I think the spinning kicks from Max were really nice throughout the entire fight. We saw Gaethje get his nose broken at the end of the first round. That was really exciting. And I think that honestly probably hindered him a little bit throughout the entire fight for the rest of it. And then the second and third rounds were pretty clear point wins for Max. Then Justin came on a bit strong in the 4th, got that knockdown. And then the 5th was going Max's way again. And then the KO happened. So really just a solid striking matchup throughout the entire fight. And, you know, if the people who were saying Max was going to win, they kind of got what they expected. They got Max outclassing a volume boxing match.
Yeah, I have that one higher up, so we'll talk about it more later. But moving on to my number 4, another fight you already mentioned.
Did you say number 5?
Yeah, that was Oliveira versus Chandler.
Oh, okay.
My number 4, Gamrot versus Dan Hooker, UFC 305. Like, I think this fight was what sports is all about. You have the narrative coming in of, it was basically everyone had Gamrot. Everyone was like, all right, this wrestler is going to go in there and he's going to destroy this striker who's coming off this layoff. Then you see this absolute tatted up psychopath Dan Hooker come out screaming in the tunnel, hometown, and you're like, why did we not bet on this guy? And then just goes out there super competitive on the feet. Like, obviously Hooker's going to win those exchanges, but Gamrot held his own on the feet.
Yeah.
Wasn't able to really take this fight to the ground. And it was just back and forth striking. Like, it was just a good fight. Like, the narratives of like the underdog coming out there and winning in his home country. You know, that's why we watch sports, is for narratives like that. So yeah, that's kind of why I have it at number 4.
Did you see us getting cooked in the comments for saying Dan Hooker's from Australia, not New Zealand?
I don't
Like, dude, when we're having elite yap sessions, we can't remember every
Sorry.
single little
Sorry.
detail. And it's obvious that he's from New Zealand, but sometimes you just say,
Oh, and that card was in Perth, wasn't it?
yeah,
Oh, so his oceanic region.
exactly.
It's just like when an Irish guy fights on a London card. It's the same thing.
Exactly.
You know? Those fans are all rooting for the same guy.
Yeah. Yeah. So chill out. Also, I feel like our comments have been getting more nice.
Yeah, they've been getting nicer.
Yeah.
A little more glazy. About it.
Glazy.
Yeah.
Let's move on to number 4. Or you've already said your number 4. My number 4, Orobai versus Rebecki. The best 3-round war this year, I think it's fair to say. My boy Orobai, you know, I'm not wearing the shirt right now, but everyone knows I'm famous for buying the shirt. He took the L, but I think he gained a lot of respect. He gained a lot of eyeballs. It was really solid. Like you said, when he gets pretty much KO'd, you're like, okay, the fight's over. And then he stands up while he's getting repeatedly just battered in the head. And it's out of a movie.
Yeah.
And then I feel like he still could have came back and won that fight. It was really close on the scorecards, but I think it was a clear Mateus. What's his
Rebecki.
Dude, I always now I get Mateus Gamrot and Mateus Rebecki confused.
Well, they also look similar.
Yeah.
Are they both from the same place?
Similar. Let's not get cooked in the comments.
One of them's Polish.
Yeah. I think they both
And
might be.
No, one of them's Polish, then one of them's like the reverse of the flag, I think. Like the red on the bottom.
No. The 3 flags that look similar are Poland, Monaco, and Indonesia. And then, I'm telling you that none of those guys are from Monaco or Indonesia.
Oh.
Yeah.
So maybe they're both from Poland.
They could be. Let us know in the comments. Yeah, I love the fight. Orobai is one of my favorite fighters. So to see him go out there and just, get battered was sad, but also put on a performance that everyone respects was really nice.
Yeah. All right, moving on. 3rd place, bronze medal, Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje, UFC 300.
Valid.
I think I agree with everything you said. I just think that it was just such an exciting fight. Like, it is the type of fight, if you had to go out and show someone what the UFC is who'd never watched the UFC before, I think it's the fight I pick.
Yeah, probably.
You know, you have one fight to sell the UFC to someone. It may not have had the storylines that some of the other fights have had, which I'm a big storyline guy. I think that it adds to sports. People are like, it's not WWE. You don't need these fake storylines. Every single sport has storylines in it. That's what makes you want to watch it. And there was it's about the BMF belt, but like Holloway moving up to lightweight, you know, that's a storyline inside of this fight. Mm-hmm. And then just seeing like these guys just really pulling out every single trick they had. Like you could have considered it who's the best striker in the UFC kind of fight, you know? We
should actually do a video where I don't know what we'd title it, but if you had to show one friend like a fight to get them into the UFC, what would you show them? That could be a good podcast segment as well.
But yeah, and also it helps that it was on UFC 300, you know, such a great card, and it was kind of like, oh crap, you know, like
oh shit, dog.
Oh, check it out. And then like I think especially for us, like the whole idea of the 1 second left KO and then me raging, like beautiful. Forever gonna be iconic.
It will. It's Dodson's Corner history. We should frame that.
In March when we do our first year of the Dodson's Corner Hall of Fame. It's a first ballot.
Why in March?
Because that commemorates like UFC 300, which was kind of like when we all started to get together for like our big pay-per-view. I think that's when the name Dodson's Corner came up and like the belt.
Yeah, I think you're right.
All around that kind of time frame.
Yeah.
So that's why it's in March or April.
The inception of Dodson's Corner. It's our anniversary.
Yeah.
I like that. For my number 3 pick, I have Topuria versus Holloway. This fight for me was absolute peak. This was peak MMA for me. I mean, there wasn't much grappling. Topuria had 1 or 2 takedowns. He had 1 takedown the first, and then he kind of made Max stumble at the end of the first and got his back. So a little bit of grappling, but not much. But this is, I don't know another fight that has higher level striking than this.
Yeah, it was the highest level.
Yeah, like you cannot get any better striking. Topuria is the most technical boxer in the UFC right now. Max is the best volume puncher in the UFC right now. Both at their peaks. I mean, Topuria might not even be at his peak, but it feels like they're just at the highest level of their game. Both coming off the biggest wins of their career. Like 2 intersecting storylines. It could not get bigger. In Abu Dhabi, the best card other than 300 of the year. It was really just like one of the best days for me to watch live. we've talked about before, but the Whitaker fight didn't go my way, and then the Topuria fight did go my way, so it evened out in the end. I mean, it's just beautiful. Like, I love Topuria's fights. He has such a cool style. His boxing is so nice to watch, and I think that was the fight for me this year that I had the most nerves for.
All right, my number 2 pick, silver medal. I think it was the fight with the best storyline all year. Dustin the Diamond Poirier versus Islam Makhachev at UFC 302.
All right.
Like, I think that this fight starts before they actually stepped into the ring. The whole lead up and the whole build up and all these narratives being talked about with this fight, it was like, is Dustin actually gonna do this? Like no way. If you brought these guys in blind and you said who's gonna go and win this fight, 99 out of 100 people are going to pick Islam. But for some reason, these narratives that the media was making made us believe that Dustin actually had a chance in this fight. And so then it's like, it's not as just straightforward. Like, if you just went in blind, Makhachev destroys him. But the narratives.
Yeah.
And it was just like, this is amazing. You know, I even predicted Poirier because I was like, I want this to happen for the culture. Like, do it. His daughter's there for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Go out on top. Like, it was just like, and then you just get to the fight, and then like from the walk-ins with diamonds being on, it's like Poirier's doing this, and then you have this 5-round fight. Obviously, Poirier gets finished in the 5th, but with competitive striking sequences, it really feels like both guys leveled up their game for each other. You know, Obviously Islam had the staff, so who knows how much that was affecting him, and maybe that brought him down a little bit to Poirier. But the striking was the best we've ever seen Islam striking look, and he was able to keep up with Poirier in the striking exchanges. It was just overall a great fight, a great build up, a great everything, you know?
Carried that card so hard.
Oh, yeah.
Disgusting. That's valid. For my number 2 fight, I have Zellhuber versus Ribovic. This is the fight that you wouldn't have.
I obviously, I think that this is a top 10 fight of the year. This fight was amazing.
But you didn't have it.
I didn't watch it live, so it's not the same, you know? I remember we were at this comedy, or I was Lucas met me at this comedy festival, and he was like, dude, there was this prelim that might be the fight of the year.
Yeah. Like, I was trying to get service in this stupid park because Canada just be like that sometimes, and I could not get service enough to watch the stream, but I could get service to check Twitter, and everyone's saying like, oh, this is like the best fight we've seen all year. I'm like, what? Guys, let me watch. So yeah, Zellhuber versus Ribovic, in my opinion, is the best 3-round fight this year. It wasn't I guess it was the same kind of war that Orlba had, but Orlba just took more damage, which is why I said that was the best war. This was the best fight.
Yeah.
Like, technically, the styles clashing where Zellhuber is a tall, lanky guy, keeps him on the outside. Ribovic is a guy who likes to blitz in. He's shorter, he's powerful. The style clash was really cool to see. And then in the last round, the 3rd round is probably the best round this year, just single round. I think that's the best round because you have Zellhuber, who was winning the fight. His coaches were like, just keep doing the same thing. And then Ribovic landed the biggest punch of the fight, gets him on the ropes, like will not stop throwing punches, like 60 or 70 punches. And then Zellhuber just doesn't go down.
Yeah, he just, like, the fighting spirit.
Yeah.
The imminent fighting spirit just...
Yeah, always ducking and weaving. Like, you know that he is not thinking.
Yeah.
He is not thinking. He's just on pure instinct. It was beautiful. And he's still throwing. That's the crazy thing. He still lands massive punches after he gets rocked like that. So to see both of those guys' hearts on the line, and again, putting 2 prospects, and again, we talk about storylines a lot this video, but putting 2 prospects, biggest prospects in the lightweight division on the line, I was surprised they did that. And it was risky from the matchmakers, but it paid off.
Yeah, because both guys' stock increases after that.
Yeah, so that's all I have to say about that fight. Everyone knows it's a banger.
Yeah. All right, in first place, do you have a guess?
Pereira Roundtree.
Pereira Roundtree. I've talked about this fight multiple times, how much I love it. You know, obviously it's weird coming into it. You have Pereira fighting Khalil Roundtree. You know, you're like, why is this guy fighting here? This should be Ankalaev. He doesn't stand a chance. And then we get into the cage. Round 1, round 2. Roundtree's up 2-0 over Alex Pereira. We've never seen Alex Pereira look that bad. I've never seen in a live fight Alex Pereira lose a round. You know, and he loses 2. I was like, what is going on? And then we see the switch. Rounds 3 and 4, just potentially the best Pereira's looked. I've seen him look live. Like, just the the volume punching. Like, it's something that we hadn't really seen from Pereira, and he just entered that flow state. And just the emotional roller coaster. Like, I have never screamed or yelled so much during a UFC fight. I couldn't sit still. I was standing up. I was jumping around. It was just the swings of emotions. It was like you were watching a movie.
Yeah. Because, he won that first round against Izzy. So he didn't, like, in the second Izzy fight, he won the first round and then got KO'd. So he didn't, like, lose any rounds. And then you didn't watch the first Izzy fight live. So you've never seen him lose a round live, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's crazy. For my number one pick, I have Makhachev versus Poirier. Everything you said, you have to respect Makhachev for being willing to strike with one of the best boxers in the UFC. That alone deserves commendation. And then what really sealed it for me was how it lasted 5 rounds, but you still got like one of the best finishes this year, one of the best chokes, one of the best trips, like such high level wrestling from Islam. And you can tell that training pays off, because to be able to have the awareness to do that in the 5th round of a war where he had a massive cut, like he's been damaged. They both landed big strikes, but there is just another level that Makhachev was able to take it to the entire fight.
Yeah.
And he did control most of the fight, even though Poirier had his moments. I think he won 1 round.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe. Yeah, we'll give it to him. We'll throw him a bone. Throw the guy a bone. And then it's 2 guys who wanted it bad, like Makhachev in the prime of his career, trying to make separate himself from that Khabib name, be that guy. And then Poirier, it's his last chance. He's had 2 chances already, and now this is it. And coming off that massive win over 299 BSD, quick turnaround, dude. 3 pay-per-views is wild.
But
he did
it that bad, and he
should have kept fighting, maybe.
Yeah. All right, that is going to do it for us today. I would say go down to the comments and let us know what your favorite fight of the year was, but how would you go down to the Google form instead? Go fill that thing out, submit your vote, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.
See ya.